I'm Betsy of Lubbock Master Gardener and friend of the public library. We're here again to talk about gardening tips for Lubbock gardeners. In another program, we talked about the Sow and Grow libraries that are at Mahon, Patterson, and Groves branches of the libraries. And today we're at the Arboretum and we're going to talk about collecting seeds that can be part of that seed exchange. So let's meet our guest. Our guest today is Marissa Malakian, and she has been collecting seeds for a long time. Marissa is actually the coordinator for the Sow and Grow Library at the Groves Branch Library, and we're eager to learn how to collect seeds that we might contribute to those Sow and Grow libraries. Tell us how you got interested in seed collecting.
Absolutely, Betsy. I wouldn't call myself an expert in seed collecting, but more curious. Even as a kid, I've just always been curious as to how things grow, and I'm also a couponer, so I love free things. And seeds are basically free. It's Mother Nature's way of providing a plant. And I, just being curious, I like to go and see how different plants produce seeds, and then collecting them, drying them if they need to, and then planting them the next year and just seeing what happens.
Well, in many ways, gardening is sort of a one big experiment, isn't it? And
yes.
So we get to do that even more if we collect our own seeds.
Yes.
See if we can reproduce what Mother Nature is already providing for us. Well, show us some of the supplies that we need if we're going to start seed collecting.
Well, you don't really need to buy any special supplies. Really, you can just use what you have available. Paper bags are great to store seeds in, as well as envelopes. And I mean, I just pulled these out of my desk drawer. They're just little envelopes. You can also store them in Ziploc bags, again, that most people have in their kitchen. Old Tupperware containers. Really, you can put them in anything. You just want to make sure you keep them in a climate controlled environment, so like inside your house.
One of the things that I read is that we have to be careful about putting them in plastic bags. Can you tell us why that is?
Yes, if you are collecting seeds from like a wet food, like a watermelon or a pumpkin, trying to think.
Cucumbers, I
yes.
guess. And
there's moisture in those seeds because they were inside a fruit. So if you lock them up tight in a plastic container or in a bag, then they can mold and rot.
So you have to be sure they're really dry before you do that.
So what I like to do whenever I collect anything from a wet source is I will lay them out either on coffee filters or a piece of cardboard or something and let them dry out for a few weeks. So they're completely dry.
And then I noticed you've got scissors and pruners here.
Yes, so I have a little bag, it's kind of my little gardening bag that I keep my supplies in for whenever I want to go get some seeds. And I do have my pruning shears in there, and
just for clipping off the seeds.
Which, I mean, you don't have to use them. Regular scissors usually work okay. I keep a glove or two handy in case I'm dealing with, nature. And you also want to make sure you have a pen or a marker, because you want to label what you collect, when you collect it, where you collected it from, more for your own sanity, so that when you see all these bags or envelopes of seeds, you know exactly what's in them.
Yeah, and can remember which year it was you collected the seeds, and which color the flowers might be.
Yes, and another good thing that we like to do is, like, I will take a picture of the shrub, the flower. If it was a very unique fruit or something that we were given that we harvest the seeds from, I'll take a picture, get it printed, and then put it with the seed packet. Just to have a visual memory of what those seeds look like when they're mature.
That's great. Do you have any you want to show us here, or should we go walking around?
When we were walking around earlier, I did pick up a few things, and I've got two examples of what a dry seed looks like, and then a couple examples of what a wet seed looks like. So we saw the purple hyacinth beans on the little trellis, and they're in these little pods. And when they're ripe, Mother
Sort of
Nature...
looks like a bean pod.
Yes, it looks like a bean pod. As they dry up, with most bean pods, they will almost twist and pop open, and then they'll drop their seeds, or they'll move their seeds. So the seeds, oh, and I already popped that one out.
That one popped right through to the
Yes.
ground.
So the seeds are actually inside. And that is what a purple hyacinth bean seed looks like.
Uh-huh.
And it's dry.
It's dry, so it could go in a plastic bag if you
Right.
were
Which
collecting
usually,
that way.
right. And I mean, these are fairly easy to just pop out. And just like that.
Great.
So
And I notice you've got an envelope already labeled
already
there.
labeled,
Purple hyacinth seeds.
and I'll drop them in. And I usually keep a little piece of tape handy because yes, you can seal it, but you just don't want them to fly away on you. So it is, and then I'll
Put the date or
right. And I just do the month and a year. And then it'll go in my little seed collection.
the... All right.
And then we also have, well, that one already, oh, I already lost. No.
What are those seeds from?
These were from the red bud, maybe?
I think, yes. Uh-huh.
He was talking.
I've seen those sometimes on trees like redbud or some other trees. It almost looks like little wings hanging
Yes.
down on the trees.
And again, same thing. They're little tiny seeds inside that. Okay, so now over here we have some crab apples, and then we grabbed a couple of rose hips. Now, when you are saving, like if you're growing vegetables in your garden, or even flowers or anything, we pick them premature really for us to eat and enjoy flowers. In order to get good seeds, you want to actually leave, like a cucumber or a squash, you want to leave it on the vine and let it get really, really, really ripe.
Past when you'd want to pick
Past when you'd want to eat it.
it. Right.
Because that just allows for better seed development. So when you're foraging for seeds, like with the crab apples, we have some in a variety stage of ripeness, and so really the riper the better. And I already...
So those orange ones are just started. I mean, they're too early to actually...
Right.
Yeah,
and
you'd almost need
yeah,
scissors or a knife in order to...
Exactly. It's really hard to get in there. Because it's just I mean,
like-
there are seeds in it.
And I guess that would just be like an apple that you'd
Right.
find.
Right. So
Because they
there
look
are-
like apple seeds.
They do look like little apple seeds, and they're in there. Trying to get a few of them out. You can see I have all my fancy tools.
Your fingers work well.
They work well.
Yeah, we can see those little apple seeds, but also, I mean, they're really wet, and these are immature seeds probably.
Right. So this one was a fully ripe one, and as you can see.
It's a slightly darker color actually.
And if you like to experiment like I do, plant all of them and see what happens. See which one performs better. So like this one was a little more ripe. It's much easier to get into the
Get
middle.
the seeds out.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't want to eat that, but those seeds are ready to go.
Great seeds. Now those seeds you'd have to dry,
Yes.
as you said.
Yes, because you can see
and
there's
you've-
a lot of moisture in there.
You've found that just old coffee filters are great or I guess paper towels too.
I've used paper towels before, but the fibers will kind of get all stuck and it's really hard to get them off. Coffee filters, I always have them because I'm a big coffee drinker, and they're great. And you can write on them, so you can flatten out a coffee filter and spread your seeds out. You want to wash them off before you lay them out to dry too. Like wash them with a
seeds, you mean.
strainer
Yeah.
or something. Get all the fruit pulp off and try to get them as clean as possible, and then lay them out. But I love coffee filters because I can write on the actual filter what the seeds are and everything, so that when they're dry and ready to go for storage, I already know what they are. I don't have to try to remember.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for this introduction. Let's go see if we can find some plants that are ready to share their seeds with us.
Let's go. We are at a sunflower plant, and as you can see, there's still some that are in bloom and some what look like dead sunflowers. I mean, that's what they are. They're spent sunflowers. And there's lots of ladybugs and bees flying around. Well, another thing that loves sunflowers are birds. They will come in here and eat all the seeds. So this one is actually completely, there's no seeds left in that one because all the birds have eaten it. So like this one, it's still in bloom. It hasn't actually produced the seeds yet. And there's various stages. Like this one's still a little green too, even though the petals are gone. If you look in there, it's just barely forming the seeds. So you really, if you want to collect sunflower seeds, it's trying to find that sweet spot between this and the birds eating them. And I think I found one over here. So I'm gonna pick this one off because I got in there a little bit and you can see some seeds. So I'm just gonna, maybe, I have my little scissors. All right. So I just cut that off, and now comes the fun. You really just get to smash it and destroy it. This is what my son loves to do, and we just, and you'll see, it just starts coming apart, and you've got tiny little seeds. This one's a tiny one. It's not the big sunflower like what you would find in the store, like the sunflower seeds that you would eat. Those are from the really big sunflowers. But there's a couple. And most of the sunflower heads, like if you just get one sunflower, you can get probably close to 100 seeds or more just from that one flower. So they're fun. My kids love collecting these.
We're at the sensory garden and looking at these hyacinth vines, hyacinth bean vines. So what do you look for if you're collecting seeds?
Well, first you want to look for are those pods that we showed earlier. Now, they probably start out green. I don't think we have any green ones, but you'll see they're this bright, bright purple. These are still maturing, but that's what the pods look like when they're purple. And so you really,
beautiful blooms.
They are absolutely beautiful. So you want to look for the more dried up ones. So there's a whole bunch up here, and these just snap right off because they are ready to go. So it's that simple. You can just walk up to it and just snap them off, almost like you were harvesting, you know, green beans or peas. Same process.
Marissa, what about privacy and concerns with trespassing when you get seeds? I know there have been times that I've taken some wildflower seeds from bar ditches. Is that okay?
I mean, if it's in a public area like that, like you're along a sidewalk or something, just taking one or a few, not a problem. But I mean, you don't want to go and see your neighbor's backyard and just start cutting stuff down. Or even at the Arboretum, they do, John did say they do allow people to come and collect seeds just like we're doing, but just, you know, ask permission first. So it's always nice. And if you see something growing over your neighbor's fence as well, like into the alley, I do this a lot too. I ask my neighbors first. Even though it is in the alley, it is still their plant, and I don't want them to think that I'm harming their plant. So it's always best to ask first.
I think that's a great idea and just good manners for gardeners. Thank you so much for being with us today and giving us a little more information about collecting seeds. And we hope that some folks will collect seeds and bring them to the Sow and Grow Library.
Absolutely.
Good. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Hi, this is Marissa again, and I'm going to show y'all how easy it is to harvest some seeds from your own garden and flower beds, and pack them nicely and get them ready for donation for our seed library. So this is my son Teddy, as you can see. These are actually dried up marigold flowers. And once they droop and they're dried up, he's just going to town. He loves this. He loves harvesting seeds from sunflowers, marigolds, even some of the fruits that we have. But inside each of these little marigolds, there's like over 100 little seeds. So as you can see, from one flower, you can share hundreds of new plants.
Like probably thousands.
So once you have a few ready to go, and it doesn't matter how many you put in here, you can share as little or as many as you want.
Like if you do 10, it's probably going to be like, no, like more than a billion probably.
I would suggest filling it out before you fill it up. But on each of these cards, they ask who collected the seeds, which you would put your name, the date that they were harvested or collected or donated, and then the common and scientific name. I know a lot of people don't know the scientific name, but if you do, feel free to share that. And also what category it is. An herb, vegetable, ornamental, which these would be, I think we'd classify these as ornamental flowers. And then any other additional information that you want to share. So I'm just going to put that these were harvested by me on today's date, and that they are marigolds, which is an ornamental. And that's about all the information I have on these. So you want to put some in here?
Is it, This one's a
So then once you get that, you can seal this or tape it, and then just bring it and drop it in our little drop box.